God our Father and God's beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. So it has been said to me repeatedly, possibly by my mother, that if there is an easy way to do something and a hard way to do something, I will consistently choose the hardest way possible. She's not wrong. But I first remember hearing this while I was in Mrs. Van Wert's 4th grade class, when we had to choose an organ of the human body and present it to the class. So obviously I chose the appendix. And instead of a nice, simple trifold board, the 80s version of a PowerPoint, I decided that I needed to liven things up a bit. And so I wrote my required paper, and I got all my information ready, and then I spent hours one night creating the digestive system in 3D out of those long, skinny balloons you use normally to make balloon animals, or in my case, internal organs. And so the large intestine was one color and the small intestine was another, and the appendix was a small white balloon that I filled with water and with great glee and anticipation popped in front of my class at the climax of my presentation in order to show how the appendix burst. It was a very scientific and highly accurate demonstration. And God bless my teacher, because I don't remember if we ended up with water all over the floor or exactly what happened. But I do remember 2 things that I took away from that presentation. First, I really do always choose the hard way. And secondly, what I remember learning is that the appendix is a vestigial organ, which means that it's an organ that started out doing one thing and ended up doing another, or, in the case of the appendix, it started out doing something, but over time came to do nothing useful at all. But the challenge of learning or teaching biology is that our knowledge changes, often rapidly, and so sadly my 1980s medical research has since been proven about as accurate as my balloon digestive system. Because as it turns out, the appendix actually does do something. Research in the early 2000s found that it's sort of a household for good bacteria, so that when your body is sick and you flush all those bad bacteria out, your appendix helps you to resupply good bacteria in your intestines. It also supports your B cells and T cells and promotes immunity in ways I didn't take the time to really understand. But the organ that I was so quick to dismiss is, as it turns out, pretty useful. And I think sometimes that this is how it is with the body of Christ. Our New Testament reading for today says, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as God chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many members, yet one body, and the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. But on the contrary, the members of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. Again, those that seem to be weaker are indispensable. This is such a powerful text, I think, because frankly, it's totally countercultural. It was when Paul wrote it, and it is still today, because society often measures value in a way that God doesn't. For example, is anybody else totally obsessed with photos of Kate and William's kids? I totally am. I am like a royal family junkie. And why? I mean, the kids are cute, their parents are attractive and famous and prestigious, and they do a lot of charity work, and they happen to be related to the Queen of England. So somehow, in my eyes, that makes them more interesting. Wealth and fame and obvious productivity and power are all ways that the world measures value, and it's really easy for us to use those metrics as well. To me, it's sort of like no one really questions the importance of the heart or the brain or the eyes, right? Their roles are prominent and obvious, and we give them lots of credit, but the reality is when we get sick, often the problem isn't one of those organs, but it's something that we might not even have heard of. And yet these organs that we overlook often are not only important, but crucial for our health and our survival. And even those we tend to dismiss and sometimes literally throw out, like the appendix, end up having value that we just didn't realize. And so it is with the church. We see this in congregations. Frankly, those of us who stand up front often get a lot of credit, and it is true that worship wouldn't happen the same way if there were no pastors and no musicians, no other leaders up here. But the reality is that a lot of the work of worship happens behind the scenes. It's in the nursery care, it's in children's church, it's in the rehearsals, it's cleaning the floors and straightening the chairs, it's fixing the boiler or the air conditioning, it's running the microphone system, it's the flowers and the altar decoration that just seems to magically appear each week. It's the bulletins that get edited and printed, and it's the people who hold our community up in prayer from the pew, from their homes, or from care facilities. And that's definitely not a comprehensive list. And worship on Saturday and Sunday, it's only one thing that we as a community do. So each one of us has a role to play. Each one of us has gifts to give. And all parts of the body are important and necessary. And so we use this image to refer to each of us as individuals, as members of the body, but it also refers to the whole church. So our congregation is part of the body, and so is our synod and our region, and so is the ELCA, and so is the Lutheran, because the body of Christ goes beyond all of those designations. And it includes each of us, but it also includes Catholics and Methodists and Baptists, and anyone who understands themselves to be a part of Christ's family. It includes believers in Haiti. It includes believers in Iceland, in Honduras, in Uganda. It includes those who speak English and those who do not, those who are citizens and those who are not, those who are wealthy and those who are not, those who are able-bodied and those who are not. God's church, God's love, is radically and unconditionally inclusive, and every part of our body matters, including and especially those that society dismisses as less important. And when one part of the body suffers, the whole body suffers. And each part of the body has something to contribute.